Karson and Kennedy talk to famous people. Sponsored by Arbella Insurance. Here for New England, here for good. Mix 1041.
All right, so we have the new album, Where the Light Goes, coming in May. You guys are coming to town this summer in July, going to be at the Xfinity Center in Mansfield, and then we have the new single too. How exciting is this to have Matchbox 20 with new music for the first time in like a decade?
It's so good. We didn't realize how long it had been because, we were pushing it the whole time because we were 2012, we put out North, but then we toured that for like a year and a half. And then I put out a solo record and I toured that for like a year and a half. And then we did a Matchbox 20, our 20th anniversary tour. And, and then I was back out again after that. So it was this constant going. And then that kind of 3-year block of the shutdown for a while, that's what I think just kind of really pushed it over the edge to make it feel like it's been forever. And we weren't going to make a full record. It wasn't until like 2020, 2021, it was kind of, we were all in the same boat with everybody else and people were making, certain decisions of caution. And then it was 2022 when a lot of people were out and we didn't go back out, that we kind of felt like we were letting people down. And that's when we decided that we wanted to make a whole record. So at least we made good on the year so that this year we really have something to show for it.
What was it like sort of all getting back together again after sort of being on your own, doing separate things, this, that, and the other? Y'all got back in the studio. Was it just like you remembered it, the muscle memory came back in, or was it a little new things to work out?
Yeah, I mean, it started so like naturally. Like I was working on a solo record. I had already had like maybe half of a record kind of done, and Paul had been working on a few songs. And so we just started sharing songs to see if we felt like we were writing up to a level that we wanted to be. And we were like, oh, this is really good. And then we like, well, let's just go in the studio and let's just like record a song or two. And we were working with Greg Wattenberg, who's this amazing producer, who's just like, he was one of us, which kind of felt nice to work with somebody new for the first time in, 20 something years. Everything just kind of happened incrementally right. And the next thing you knew, we're like, oh, we have a half a record that we really, really like. Then we went out and played a show in Newfoundland for the first time in like 5 years. And it was like from 0 to 20,000 people. And we're just like, oh, hi. And then, I always equate it to like after the first 3 minutes on stage where I'm just like, I feel like Ricky Bobby and I don't know what to do with my hands. I'm like, hey, hi. And then once I figured that out, then it just felt like, muscle memory of 20 something years. And so then it just felt right. Like, it's a weird thing because I can go out, I put out like 5 solo records and I've toured all those records and I've had the same solo band since 2004. Mm-hmm. But it's an entirely different experience to do this with your brothers that you grew up with. There's just a certain kind of a vibe there. These people know you better than anybody on the planet.
Now, when you got together to do the music, are you doing the new fad where it's all on Zoom and you're in different locations, or did you decide to get together in person?
Well, we all have studios. So we did a lot of file sharing and recording different things. And then once we get this group of songs to a certain point, we'd all come to New York and get together in the studio and compress it down to like a week of recording, and then go back, build up another group of songs till we thought they were ready to record, and then come into New York and then kind of do them all together. So we just really lucked out with the technology, not as much on the Zoom and the writing front, because that doesn't work out well for us. But just on having our studios to be able to record stuff and just send files over, and then I can do some vocals over here and send it to Kyle, and he can do some guitar at his studio.
And I ask you that question because I want to know. So what's it like recording in 2022 Matchbox 20 versus like 1995 Matchbox 20 going to the recording studio?
Well, I mean, first off, it's funny. It's a whole different mentality. 30 years ago or whatever, almost 30 years ago, like it's. We get to be, there's a period of music that we missed. Like, I don't know if you guys have seen, there's that music documentary about the bands that would rent out the studio under the volcano. And like, it was just like debauchery for like weeks. They'd go out there and the label would just like, here's a bunch of money and drugs and go and make a record, and create something. And so we weren't a part of that, but we did get to be a part of kind of this last period of the 90s where you could come into New York and rent out like a floor of the Hit Factory, and like you're recording the Hit Factory while, John Mayer's down here and you can go grab him and have him come play on your record. And, Tom Petty's mixing his record down there and like, you're kind of part of this, the big studio vibe, and are going and renting out Bearsville up in Woodstock, and everybody just moves out there and we become like Lord of the Flies by the end of the whole thing. And that was a way to go about it. That studio system doesn't exist as much anymore. A lot of people are making records in their home or they're making them in smaller studios. So I think we kind of went with the times, and we realized that a lot of what we were doing before was just burning money. You know, like it was because you want the experience of making the record, and sometimes that shows up on the record, and sometimes it doesn't. Like we tried to produce our own record for North, and we wound up just living in a cabin for like 3 or 4 months and burning through like $40,000 in wine or something, and then we just threw up our hands and we're like, okay, we need a producer, and then we like went out to LA and made a proper record.
Oh, I love that.
One of the things that's changed with producing music these days is the TikTok of it all, right?
Yeah.
And having something that goes viral. And this thing that's happened with Unwell, it's so funny. There's parts of it, some people make it so funny.
Yeah.
And some people make it really loud things about mental health, which I love. What's it like to have people take a little bit of your song and make it something that was theirs?
What's funny is I just signed off, and I guess it'll be coming out soon. Like there was a girl named Kiara that actually did a version of Unwell. It was different verse, and she used the chorus. And now there's a rapper that's coming out and using Unwell as like the chorus of Unwell, like a new guy. I think it's kind of a surreal thing. I mean, you hope that you would have a song that people will remember past its due date, and you would hope that I would be here 20 something years later and have songs that I would talk to you about that people are still listening to. But the fact that other people, I mean, I'm amazed if somebody sends me a video at like a bar in Birmingham where somebody's covering one of my songs. I'm just like, oh, that's cool. Like, so the idea that someone would actually stake their own career on my song, I'm like, good luck.
All right, I got to ask you the Arbella Insurance fan question. So we put it out there on social media, Arbella Insurance. I even wore my, you can't even see it, my Arbella Insurance shirt today.
Oh, I thought you said Bella the intern.
No, Arbella Insurance. The question is from our friend Liz Wadman. She says, what's the best lesson that you've learned in your career as a band, and how does it differ from anything you learn in your own personal projects, Rob?
Well, I think it's something I carried over. It actually came from Carlos. The idea that you're not going to be able to control the outcome of anything that you do. You can control everything that you put into it. You can control your motive and your intentions and your purpose, right? In anything that you do, in any music that you make. And you have to get it to a point where you feel comfortable with it and you like it and it makes you happy, because it might not work. You know what I mean? Like if you go out into the world and you look for other people's validation to tell you whether you're successful or not, then there's going to be a lot of times where you've accomplished something really, really hard to accomplish, but you're not going to appreciate it because somebody else that you never met doesn't appreciate it. And so I think that, going into, like with Matchbox, we already feel like we've won. We made a record that we're really, really happy with and we're proud of. And we know that there's a group of initiated people out there somewhere that are going to listen to us play it. And so that makes us happy. And we feel like we've already won.
And it's really up tempo, the new song too. I was surprised. I thought I was going to get, just really like slowed down. I figured the first single is going to rip at my heartstrings. And then here comes this drive. And I'm like, all right, let's go. This is like a great opening set song.
Yeah, that was the last song that we wrote for the record. Actually, we had kind of put a button on the record and it was done. And then Paul brought me this track and I wrote the lyric and the melody to it. And we were just like, no, this one has to get on there. And, that's always the best feeling when, you have something like that. There's a lot of up on this record. There's a lot of positive on this record. We were trying to stay away from the negative. We were trying to stay away from being cynical, and we just wanted to find a little bit of joy. So we try and pepper the entire record with a little bit of joy.
Awesome. Can't wait to hear it. Can't wait to hear the whole album. I think that is it. We're all done. It was great to see your face again. We can't wait till you come to town. We'll have to get together and drink $40,000 worth of wine.
Yeah, it's on the station, right?
Yeah, definitely. Oh yeah, we have
on the label, right, Lou?
Yeah, where's the record label? Where's Lou? All right, it's great to see you. We'll talk to you soon.
Good to see you guys again. Thank you for everything.
Thanks so much, Rob.
Karson and Kennedy talk to famous people. Sponsored by Arbella Insurance. Here for New England, here for good. Mix 1041.